Welcome back to our special wedding edition of What's the Buzz in Western New York. A ring for the man and woman symbolizes their unending love for each other. If you're looking for a unique piece of jewelry with a flair for the past, come with me to Sarah's Vintage and Estate Jewelry in Williamsville. We're here at Sarah's Vintage and Estate Jewelry, and this is Sarah. Hi.
Hi,
so
Kim.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And your store is so beautiful. You've got just case after case of vintage and antique pieces that are a feast for the eyes. I don't know where to look next, Sarah. It's
wedding
beautiful.
season is upon us, and I'd love to show you the different variety of things that we have.
Let's do it. So people are coming in to get engaged.
Very much so.
And a vintage piece, wow, that's very romantic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. A lot of the 1920s jewelry, like these pieces in here, they use embellishments like flowers and hearts and little birds and the intricate filigree mountings.
Lots of Art Deco, isn't it?
Art Deco was very strong in the 1920s and 30s, and sometimes they would use side sapphires as well.
So beautiful. And these pieces, these older pieces with the vintage stones, they're actually cut differently than the modern day diamond, aren't they?
They are. I have an example of an old mine-cut diamond and a modern diamond. And if you see them, the crown of the stone is much deeper and the table is much smaller than the modern stones. With the antique diamonds, they break up the light into spectral colors, rainbows, pinks, blues, greens. And the modern diamonds tend to flash white light. So it's a personal preference, but there really is a difference in the way the stone was cut.
The stones. And with the older vintage pieces, they're so romantic, and it's the something old.
Very much so. A lot of people love the fact that there's a history and a story behind each piece, and that it lived before us and it will live on.
It'll be passed once again. And I've heard brides talk before about, you know, a Art Deco piece or a vintage piece, an engagement ring that has that history, but with a concern about, gee, what will I do for a wedding band? But that's really not a problem, is it?
It's not a problem at all. We have a wonderful collection of platinum bands that have engraving or with diamonds that work remarkably well with our antique rings. And if there's anything that needs sizing, we have a jeweler that specializes in antique and estate jewelry repairs and sizing, so this is something we do all the time.
So you have bands that suit the style, they're vintage, they're the same cut, so this miner's cut stone in a band to match the vintage diamond in the engagement ring.
Yes.
So it's not a problem.
Not a problem at all.
Not a problem whatsoever. How do you come by all of these beautiful stones?
Well, we're buying almost every week. People locally and around the country know that we're looking for the best of the best and vintage jewelry. So people come in with special pieces and they know that we're going to find a good home for them. And every stone gets checked. I'm a graduate gemologist, so everything is graded and the mountings are all gone over and made sure that they're in wonderful condition.
Right, so they're a vintage piece, but you're sure that when you walk out the door with this vintage piece that the diamond is set in there securely. There's nothing to worry about.
Yes.
And if the ring doesn't fit after you give it, well, you come right back, and Sarah uses a local jeweler for your local business, your Western New York folks, and you can size anything. Whether there's a filigree pattern or stones, your jeweler is going to be able to give your customer what they need.
Very much so. Even the antique wedding bands that have design elements to them, when they're sized down, the jeweler will kind of copy the design that exists so that to the eye it's really not noticeable at all.
You're not going to break that pattern.
No.
It'll be just as beautiful. And over here we have some fun things too, Sarah. Tell me about what we're looking at over here.
Well, we, in the last 8 years since we've been here, sell a lot of the fabulous romantic 1950s classic Aurora Borealis crystals that brides or the bridal attendants will wear.
These are kind of unique, special pieces that are going to stand out on that big day.
Very much so. We've had bridal parties where all of the gals will buy similar necklaces so that they all complement. The other big thing is rhinestone brooches that the gals will put on their sashes, on their outfit, on the bridal gown itself. Or they can be incorporated into the hair. They can be wired in to the different hairstyles. So there's a lot of possibilities. Very affordable and unique pieces, but they are old.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then the crown. What bride doesn't need, I mean need, Sarah, a crown?
It's gorgeous. A lot of there are newer tiaras that are available, but we try always to have one or two of the vintage pieces that are all original.
So when you're getting married, when you're getting engaged, Sarah's got you covered. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Kim.
Visit Sarah's Vintage and Estate Jewelry, 5459 Main Street in Williamsville. Call them at 616-0904 or connect with them online at sarahsvintagejewelry.com. Up next, an explosion of color and beauty.